The world champion Ding Liren makes his way to the board. He's going to play Praggnanandhaa in the Armageddon encounter in round 7 of Norway Chess. He gets off his jacket. Ding has had a very topsy-turvy event. He first drew both his games against Magnus Carlsen in round 1. Then he managed to beat Praggnanandhaa in Armageddon. So the tournament was looking good for him after 2 rounds at Norway Chess. But then he lost 4 games in a row, 4 classical games. And now this is the 7th round. He has drawn his game against Pragg in the classical segment where he was better in the final position. And so here we are. Pragg enters, shakes hands. Praggnanandhaa has had a very interesting event. He has had wins against Magnus Carlsen and Caruana in classical, and he has given almost all the players a tough time here, clearly showing that he belongs here. But Ding has managed to show his best chess against Pragg. For example, he was pressing in their first classical game, then he beat him in the first Armageddon game. Now, in the second classical game, also Ding was really putting pressure on Pragg. What is going to happen here in the Armageddon? It will be very interesting to see. Pragg has 10 minutes, Ding has 7. Pragg in a must-win situation. A draw works just fine for Ding. You can see how Pragg sits down on the chair. There was a time when little Pragg would put both his feet on the chair and play his games because he could hardly reach the board. And there is some bit of that even when he's playing the super elite Norway Chess now. Both the players extremely calm. The arbiter comes in, tells them to start the game. Pragg opens the game with d4, knight f6, and bishop comes to g5. The Trompovsky played by Pragg because it's a must-win game for him. So he's taking the risks. Ding takes back with the g-pawn, bishop b5 check. It seems like Pragg has prepared something which is not very well known, just to throw Ding off his prepared game. Now check, bishop comes out, Pragg takes, knight takes on d7. So black's development looks pretty decent now. He can push his pawn to e6, put his bishop here. Where is Pragg going to bring his knight? He plays it to e2, e6 played here by Ding. So Ding is playing very simple, solid chess. He's not trying to be very creative about it, but just following the normal rules. Now, queen c7 may be preparing long castle. Also, you have this semi-open g file, which is a big asset for you. Knight comes out to d2. So both the knights placed a little bit passively, but at the same time can become very active with knight f3, knight b3, knight f4, knight c3, all these moves. Bishop comes out to d6. Ding now attacks the pawn on h2. h3 makes a lot of sense here, just to push the pawn out. Yes, he pushes his pawn. And now Ding takes on d4. Knight takes d4, threatening knight b5. So pawn comes up to a6. And how should Pragg continue? One of the simple ideas here is to play rook c1, threatening c4, and if you play b5 to stop it, I play a4, attacking, and if you take, I play c4. And this is exactly what Pragg needs. Something which opens up the position, because the black king isn't comfortable here. Maybe doesn't want to short castle, maybe doesn't want to long castle. You can see Pragg really intensely staring at the board, looking at the different possibilities. I feel the opening has worked out for him. He goes queen h5, threatening to take the pawn on e6 because this is pinned, and the king can no longer feel very safe on e8. It can come to e7, connecting the rooks, but I think Ding makes a very bold decision, which is to short castle. Yes, the pawn cover is broken in front of the king, but the king will stay very safely on h8. Rook can move on the g file, maybe double up on g6 and g8. Pragg now goes for c3. It's slightly passive the way he's playing this, because Ding has all the trump cards at his disposal. He has the big center, he has the open g file. The only thing that's working for Pragg is the slight weak position of the black king, and he must take advantage of it with moves like c4 or e4. He needs to open up things, because if he doesn't manage to do that, Ding is slowly going to outplay him. Again, you can see the time management of Ding has been pretty good. 5 minutes 47 seconds for him, while Praggnanandhaa has around 8 minutes left on the clock. Now, Prag goes rook a to d1. Well, he is angling for e4, and Ding once again so quick with his moves. Somewhere you do see the old Ding return many times to the game. You know, he's able to make quick decisions, just like here. Knight f6, very quick, hitting the queen. Queen goes to h6 and now quickly brings in queen e7. So the queen, knight defend everything along with these pawns, and the bishop also well placed. It's time for the rooks to now move here, which is the reason why Prag is a bit tensed and worried now, because black's moves are pretty simple. So he goes c4. This is interesting, the move he's played, because if you take here, now the bishop is slightly loose. So the move is knight c6, attacking the queen. You take here, I take. The only problem for Prag is that he cannot enter this variation, because after takes, there's a check here and he has to go for a draw. A draw does not work out for him. So actually, Ding can take the pawn and Prag cannot go for the best move, which is knight c6, which is an interesting dynamic that the Armageddon brings in. That's the reason why Ding is thinking. In fact, another good move here is knight g8. When after queen h5, you then take, because then there are no such businesses with knight c6. Well, Ding takes it. Bold decision by Ding Liren. An excellent one. He's until now played a flawless game. He has a good position here, especially because Prag cannot go for knight c6, which is the drawing line. How should Prag continue? What should he do? Maybe he needs to start rerouting his pieces. His knight has to go to g5, the other knight should come to f3. But then Ding is going to play rook g8, rook g6. So Prag also has to anticipate that. It's not going to be easy here for Praggnanandhaa. You can see his time is also running. He's trying to figure out what is the way in which he can create some play. So knight e2 is another idea, threatening to take here, but then after rook a d8, it's not so clear where this knight is going. Like knight c3, there are no real available squares there. Whew. Interesting. What is to be done now is the question. Look at Praggnanandhaa's focus. He is just trying his best. He's trying to calculate. Knight g5. I'm attacking here. Rook g8. If I play this, knight comes back to f3. Maybe I'm threatening to take here and here. But then rook g6. He attacks my queen before that. I need to move back with my queen. He comes up with king g7. h6 is coming. Nothing's working for him. He goes knight g5. And Ding instantly plays rook a d8. Well, the better move was rook g8. But Ding somehow is moving too quick in this game. Maybe it's nerves. Maybe it's just to intimidate his opponents. So knight g5, rook a d8, and now Prag can go knight to f3. You can see Prag trying to calculate hard. There is a mate on h7. Remember the game between Magnus Carlsen and Ding Liren from yesterday, where Magnus executed a mate on h7 by sacking his queen. You can see Ding there also looking slightly worried there. Maybe there is something here that is there in the position for Prag. Don't know what Prag is exactly thinking here. Maybe knight f3 with the idea of sacking here, putting your knight in the center, putting pressure on f7. There are elements of combinations that are lurking around. You see the knight is not so well protected. The rook could get a bit hanging there. He plays rook d2, and this move is a bad move, because now rook g8, and this is simply going to be big trouble. So rook g8, and he plays it, finds it. Ding Liren has a winning position now. I guess Praggnanandhaa wanted to go rook d2 and now rook g6, and it's game over. Like queen h4, you can move your bishop away. It's too much here. Let's just go. What happens now? Rook fd1 played by Prag. He anyway had to do it. But now Ding can go rook g6. Let's go. Ding plays his rook to g6. The position is clearly better for him. He's pawn up. He's kind of weathered the storm. And rook g8, terrible mistake here by Ding Liren. The winning move here was bishop b4, just attacking the rook. And black is struggling. White is struggling, but rook g8, ndf3. Excellent move by Praggnanandhaa. Now the threat is rook takes d6, queen takes d6, knight f7. But if you move the bishop away, in comes this amazing move, because if knight takes d7, there is queen h7 mate. And if you don't, then knight f7 is hanging. So somehow this move ndf3 completely turns the game around. I think what Ding absolutely missed is the fact that this is hanging. He cannot go back and try to defend his bishop, because now takes, and he loses f7. So in a way, this move ndf3 is a killer blow. You can see Pragg now looking quite relaxed. Ding has big tension on his mind. How is he going to defend against this threat? He cannot save his bishop. He goes h6, but after rook takes on d6, there's nothing really happening now, because hg5 is impossible. The pawn is pinned. Rook g5 is met with queen h6. It's just over. Or maybe rook g5, you can even take first, knight g5. Pragg chops off the bishop, and just like that, in one move from a winning position, Ding Liren has landed in a lost position. He shakes hands with his opponent. Ding's difficulties in this tournament continue. He loses the Armageddon game with Praggnanandhaa. Pragg gets 1.5 points from this game and is back in the reckoning in this tournament with Carlsen and Nakamura. Pragg is not too pleased with this win. It was on blunder of Ding, but that happens at top level chess quite often.